Greetings and welcome. This is Hypothetically Speaking, the voice of Janesville and Rock County for October 31st, 2025. Everything needed in life is learned in kindergarten, believe it or not. Then somewhere along the way, we start thinking we've grown and, well, that we know better. Whatever happened to the innocence of youth? The simple lessons about sharing, truth-telling, and cleaning up your own mess? Next, in our accountability series, we take a look at how these early lessons still apply, even at City Hall. Headline: City Manager confirms fairy tales do not come true. Janesville, Wisconsin. In a performance worthy of a Grimm Brothers twist, City Manager Kevin Lehner made it clear fairy tales have no place in local government, especially the ones about transparency. Before a packed house at City Hall, Lehner delivered what can only be called a master class in civic disenchantment. With all the conviction of a man sweeping up pixie dust, he declared that open government wasn't a policy, it was a fantasy. A spark for this declaration? A story published right here in Hypothetically Speaking, suggesting, gently mind you, that sunlight should be our policy, that we should be proud of what we do in the open and not afraid of what we hide. Well, that escalated quickly. Citizens filled the council chamber, still clinging to the belief that the so-called data castle might be just another building and not a fortress of secrecy. They spoke for more than an hour, their hopes stacked like firewood. Then one by one their dreams were shelved for something more opaque. One citizen summed it up neatly. What's next? Is he going to go after the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus? That line deserves a plaque right next to the locked filing cabinet. For those who missed the original story that sparked this civic showdown, the story, The Tale of the Hidden Records, a story from a land called Janesville, is still available on our Substack. A children's book-style editorial for grown-ups who still believe in fair government. But be warned, belief these days may be considered a liability. The moral? If sunlight was ever policy, someone just pulled the blackout curtains. Next, an editorial commentary, strike three or just an intentional foul ball. Accountability and transparency in action, or rather, in retreat. Wednesday's Business Insiders briefing, hosted by Forward Janesville and featuring Lehner himself, felt less like a swing for transparency and more like a carefully timed timeout. Held at 7:30 in the morning in the city's own Woodman Center, the event was invite only. It followed a closed-door council session the night before and a radio interview where critical information was again withheld. 3 days in a row. And the public was still in the dark. Observers speculated that Lehner's long game mirrors Loudoun County, Virginia, home of the world's densest data center corridor, where the hum of servers drowns out the voices of residents. Phrases like transformative potential, strategic partnerships, and positioning for the future echoed through his remarks, hints of a playbook borrowed from elsewhere. But even among Forward Janesville's insiders, the full plan stayed off mic. Transparency, it seems, has become invitation only. So if this was a swing, it wasn't a strike, it was an intentional foul. Just enough to stay at bat and keep the crowd guessing. But in civil life, as in baseball, the public eventually demands a clear play. And we need to get this on the record, folks, just so you know. It is an editorial policy and a promise we make to our readers and our listeners. For us, it's all about fact, friction, and fair play. Now, we received some notes that our tone is sharp, that we're too hard on the city. Fair point. But truth sometimes stings. We don't invent the drama. It unfolds at microphones, in memos, and behind closed doors. We simply turn on the light. At Hypothetically Speaking, we live by 3 rules. Facts first, commentary clearly labeled, and accountability always in focus. If a headline bites, it's because democracy was never meant to be comfortable. Humor keeps us sane. Clarity keeps us honest. And silence is the sharpest editorial of all. Now let's switch gears and move our focus to the southern half of Rock County with a piece we call When Planning Stops, the Fire Starts. When shared fire services fray, what Beloit's chief departure really revealed. Beloit, Wisconsin, it's not every day a fire chief walks away just as a regional cooperation deal collapses, but that's exactly what just happened. When the town of Beloit voted unanimously to end its intergovernmental agreement with South Beloit, Illinois, a cross-border model imploded. Within weeks, the shared fire chief resigned, quietly marking the end of a bold but fragile experiment. Why it matters? Across the country, communities face the same dilemma: cling to local control or move towards regionalized public safety. When shared services work, it trims cost and duplication, and when it fails, both sides get burned. Beloit's unraveling reminds us that cooperation without a plan is like a firefighter without water. The intention may be noble, but the outcome still smolders. So, let's look closer. What happened when the planning actually stopped? You find yourself somewhere between independence and collaboration. In 2022, the city of Beloit lent its fire chief to South Beloit, a symbolic bridge across the border. 2 years later, the town of Beloit signed a $1 million annual contract to provide South Beloit's coverage. On paper, it looked pragmatic. South Beloit gained professional staff and new equipment, and the town of Beloit gained stability and a modern station. But behind the paperwork, cracks spread. It started when the math didn't add up. The town's plan depended on a federal SAFER grant to fund 9 new firefighters. When that grant was denied, the force stayed roughly 30% short. Without those hires, neither the town's Inman Parkway station nor the South Beloit station could maintain 24-hour coverage, breaking the contract's central promise. The intent was always contingent upon additional hiring, said one town official. Without that, well, frankly, the math fell apart. By fall, the town board voted to terminate the agreement by 2026 with the option to exit sooner. And soon thereafter, the shared chief's resignation made it official. The fire partnership was out. Cause and effect, a chain reaction. Staffing shortfalls. Without the grant, the numbers collapsed. Overtime soared. Morale sagged. Fatigue spread faster than flame. Political pressure. Wisconsin taxpayers balked at subsidizing Illinois calls. South Beloit bristled at shifting terms. Trust was eroded. Leadership whiplash, confusion over authority and liability fueled burnout and turnover. When every decision needs 2 boards and 2 lawyers, progress stalls. And operational ambiguity. South Beloit must now decide rebuild, contract, or regionalize. Each choice carries a $1 million consequence or more. The big picture? A broader pattern. This isn't just a Beloit story. Across America, fire and EMS agencies are smoldering under the same strain. Volunteerism has fallen 20% in a decade. Career burnout is at record highs, and nearly 40% of shared service compacts dissolve within 5 years, mostly over money or governance. Closer to home, many Illinois and Wisconsin towns have tried and failed to merge. Feasibility studies end in stalemate over who pays, who leads, and who owns the trucks. The lesson is simple. Cooperation works only when the math, the leadership, and the politics line up. What lessons in cooperation have we learned? Fire service partnerships succeed when they rest on those 3 pillars. Stable funding, not grant-dependent or election-sensitive. Clear governance, authority and accountability defined in black and white, and consistent communication among boards, unions, and residents alike. Beloit's model missed all 3. When leadership turned over, institutional memory vanished, morale dipped, coordination faltered, and trust, frankly, followed. Shared service isn't just a spreadsheet. It's a test of patience and political will. For the future, rebuild or regionalize, both communities are now in limbo. South Beloit may rebuild its own department, a move costing up to $3 million a year, it's estimated. The town of Beloit is investing in a new fire station and shifting resources inward. Two paths remain: layered coordination, independent departments tied by mutual aid pacts. It preserves local control but repeats inefficiencies. Or full regionalization, a unified district with shared command. It stabilizes staffing and reduces duplication, but brings political resistance and pension headaches. Either route demands public trust, and that begins with transparency. Behind closed doors, even the best plans suffocate. A bit of an editorial reflection. Regional services promise efficiency, but it demands trust, and trust can't be contracted. The Beloit breakdown shows what happens when ambition outruns planning and leadership becomes temporary. Without vision, every agreement becomes a revolving door. The moral: once the planning stops, the fire starts, and not all of them are the kind you can call 911 to put out, because public safety still begins with public trust. This week's closing reflections: democracy isn't lost in one bad meeting. It's eroded, one closed door, one withheld record, one unanswered question at a time. But every citizen still holds the bat. If we choose silence, we stand in the stands. If we choose action, we still can change the scoreboard. Let's not strike three and end the game. Let's make it the inning where Janesville and the community, citizens, step up to the bat, and they do clean up. Our community spotlight: Havana Coffee. If you're looking for a place to reflect on your civic journey or just fuel up before a council meeting, stop at Havana Coffee, 1250 Milton Avenue. It's a true Janesville gym where espresso meets engagement. With hearty food, warm service, and support for local journalism, Havana Coffee proudly partners with the Rock County Civics Academy to keep our conversations alive. We're grateful to Danella and her team for creating a space where ideas percolate and citizens stay awake. Another community partner, Nowlin Law Firm, where we also extend our thanks to Attorney Tim Lindau and the Nowlin Law Firm for their support of civic education and democratic renewal. Their encouragement reminds us that law and leadership both depend on integrity and both thrive on public trust. Together, with partners like Havana and Nowlin, we're building a culture of engagement that honors both tradition and transformation. Our call to leadership isn't ego, it's service. It shows up listening deeply and acting with purpose. There's three ways to begin: volunteer with a civic group, serve on a local board or commission, or run for office and lead the change you desire. If not you, who? If not now, when? You can subscribe for continued insight. This is Hypothetically Speaking, your weekly dispatch from Wisconsin's heartland to America's horizon. Every Friday, we explore the intersection of policy, people, and possibility. We are here to invite dialogue, and we celebrate civic courage. Subscribe on Substack. Just search Rock County Civics Academy or visit rockcountycivicsacademy.org. Civic engagement is always within reach. We're available online at rockcountycivicsacademy.org, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Substack, because democracy is a skill, one that strengthens with practice. We encourage you to stay curious, stay engaged, stay connected, and as always, stay hypothetical. Hypothetically speaking, where ideas meet action and citizens shape the future. We can do it together. Have a great day.